But here's the thing that killed me personally is that she was moving on. Yeah. And to be going from a place of trying to heal, because healing isn't linear anyway. You're going to have your dips and your ebbs. But to go from a place of actively trying to heal to being hit all the way back.
Yeah,
oh,
it was
heartbreaking.
So
heartbreaking. I was so...
Hello, and welcome to Judgmental Horror Junkies. I am your host, Dino Reno Valentino, head doctor at the Asylum for the Insane. With me, as always, is Goreship, the ship that sails along the river Styx. And today, we have a very special guest. It is Cecilia Rose, the ghost ballerina from the Graveyard of Souls. Also, my co-host on Comic Dissection. So, yay!
Welcome. Yeah, I didn't know anything about that one. That's new to me.
Everybody gets a ghost name on our Judgmental Horror, or a monstrous evil name.
He's pretty good with
I'm
coming
going to brainstorm and come back with...
You don't want to be the ghost ballerina, the Graveyard of Souls?
I cannot dance.
That was off the top of my head.
I dance as good as the white man.
Maybe that's how you die. Maybe that's how you die, trying to dance.
The white man at the start of this movie, that's how I dance, okay? It's not good. It's not a good look.
You leave McLovin alone.
That's one of the very first things I want to talk about, because there, in this, were also POCs, people of color, taking white culture and also not being able to dance. So I found that, I felt attacked. There were also other people that couldn't dance in there, and I was like, whoa, not being able to dance... That's my people's culture.
Yeah, but that's how you know this movie was written by a white person.
I don't know. I think once you put on khakis and tuck in your dress shirt, you can't dance no matter how much rhythm you had before that.
Fair.
I think it's a clothing thing.
Fair.
Cecilia, why don't you tell us what we're doing, why you're here, why we men have kindly invited you to our man podcast.
Your man podcast.
Why are you in our safe space?
We are talking about promising young women today for International Women's Day, which I was very kindly invited into your space to do.
Yes, this was Goreship's brainchild, and good on him for it. And promising young woman. Not really a horror movie. We're traveling a bit outside, like Goreship said, a bit outside our safe space here. More of a thriller, psychological thriller, maybe.
And it was originally billed, when the first trailer released, it was originally billed as a horror thriller. And unfortunately, during the pandemic times, when it initially kicked in, this movie was pushed back on its slate, and reshoots were made to happen because of the time period we were living in during pandemic lockdowns. So it shifted narration from a horror thriller revenge story to the studio saying, hey, let's change the narrative, let's change it up a little bit. It's too basic and oversimplified that a woman is just seeking out revenge through murder. Why don't we make it a little bit more, what's worse than murder? Ruining your whole fucking life. So,
at least according to the men in this.
It's all subjective, because some of us would be like, and I'd rather just kill him. But that's neither here nor there. So I thought,
she's pulling a Batman. She doesn't kill. There's a lot of. I felt a lot of Batman vibes.
There was definitely a lot more methodical planning, and it does lean more away from our horror-centered episodes, but that's going to be a recurring thing, because not every single episode that we do will have a super horror movie. It will be a lot of more let's say horror comedy or drama horror than it is just straight slasher, scary horror jump scares. Yeah. And I think it's good to have that kind of variety, especially since I figured, hey, International Women's Day is coming up. Why not do a really heavily female-centric episode with
actually two? Technically,
that was coincidence.
The one we're doing after this will also fit the bill. So you're actually getting two episodes. One at the end of February, and then one on International Women's Day. So we're hitting you with the double judgment.
But the reason why is because, one, I love Anya Joy Taylor, so the fact that we finally got to watch the menu,
Yep.
I was like, I can't pass
Spoiler,
that
we're
up.
doing the menu next.
I can't pass that up.
Yep.
And the second reason was like, well, crap, International Women's Day. Like, why would just two men give the perspective on a female-led horror movie? Why don't we switch it up? If we're going to do the menu, why not have a female-centered opinion on a movie that they pick, that they view as like a good representation or display of women in horror and the shifting narratives? And I feel like Cecilia got a real good banger on her hands by choosing Promising Young Woman.
And in the words of Kanye West, Cecilia, I'm going to let you finish, but did want to throw out a content warning right here at the beginning. There is lots of discussion of sexual assault, rape, and the like. That is pretty much the entire framework of this movie.
There's also an overlooming shadow of discussion about suicide.
Well, also true. Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot all about that.
So for any listener that may be sensitive to
those issues, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Or, you know.
It is kind of sad that a lot of horror movies or a lot of circumstances involving women in these types of situations are very rape-centric.
It is a starting point. It is one of those... Well, it's a fear, right?
It is absolutely 100%.
I see those I don't know if either of you have encountered those Reddit threads where it's like, what if all the women were gone for a day? What if all the men were gone for a day? And I don't know, the what if all the men were gone for a day Reddit things are always like, I'll just walk around naked, you know, or like I'd fart more freely in public or whatever. And the women one are like, oh, it'd be nice to like go to the bar and not have to watch my drink. And it would be nice to be able to wear whatever clothes I wanted without, you know, being worried about being assaulted in an alley.
Yeah, my oldest daughter is 11 now, and she's going through a nice little belly crop top phase. And I am actively worried every time we go out in public that someone is going to say something to her. Yeah. Because she is a child, and I will... absolutely
go
murder
to prison
someone.
For assault. Yeah.
But it is, and she's 11.
Yeah.
And I remember being 11 and having old men leer at me in Walmart. Like it is actively a thing.
I will tell you, not to hashtag all men, but watching this movie, I felt real good about a lot of my choices. Like,
Same.
I've done some garbage things. I'm a pretty garbage human being, but man, like stuff that were coming out of these dudes' mouths, I'm like, not even on my radar. Like,
you're so pretty, you will never be the same again.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I think it's because I'm so pretty that I don't have to do that as well. Wait, are you saying something else?
Yeah. Also, you're pretty, though. It's okay.
Thank you.
It is funny because I had a lot of the same thoughts. I was like, man, I've been around guys like these guys in movies, and I'll remember my times in high school and college parties and being in somewhat similar scenarios to what happens throughout this film, and just remembering, like, I knew where my lines were, and I knew where my friends' lines were, and what equated to inappropriate, and a lot of the stuff these dudes are saying and acting on, I know it's a regular thing nowadays.
Yeah.
I personally cannot fathom crossing into that depth. It seems so beyond a typical person's moral compass or leanings. Like,
I was fortunate, and I think this is something that this movie touches on a lot. Your circle is either going to enable you or make you better. And, like, this is a lot of instances where, like, the very beginning of the movie, there's one dude who sees a girl in seemingly in distress, kind of drunk at the bar, sort of nodding off, and he's like, oh. And he's like, oh, I'm going to check on her and see if she's okay. And the other two, at no point, are like, why don't you just call her a cab from here?
Yeah.
Or... instead, they're like, oh, shit, it's on now. You know, like, they're egging him on. Like, at no... And it just keeps happening. There's groups of guys where no one is saying, what the fuck? Like, no one's hitting the brakes. They're all just like, they're all feeding each other. And I was lucky that I was in a group of guys that, like, that wasn't okay. If one of us stepped out of line in that manner, the others would immediately... quite literally, because we were a bunch of fucking gutter punks, like, slap him down and, like, put him back where he needed to be.
You don't do that shit in front of me.
Yeah, not in front, and people will learn, like, that behavior, it got that far because 5 other times it got closer to that.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't nipped in the bud earlier, so it got there. Whereas
I
at the very
this
first
movie
time,
does a really good job of highlighting how men enable each other. Even at the end, when they're disposing of the body, it's one dude talking another dude out of his accountability to do that.
This was not your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a very kind of homoerotic way, also.
I will say this.
That dude is has that dude...
Schmidt.
The friend...
Schmidt. It's fucking Schmidt.
Has he ever not been an asshole? Do they make
Greenfield.
movies with him not an asshole? He's got the face.
This movie had such an eclectic cast of bigger star names than I thought it was until I went back and re-looked at the cast listing. Mm-hmm. I was like, whoa.
Stifler's mom?
Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah.
LeVar Cox is in this movie. It made me so happy.
Yeah, there were so many people. Like, you have the main cast. This is the main cast that we have.
Yeah,
we have Carey Mulligan as Cassie. We have
Mm-hmm.
Bo Burnham.
Yep.
As Ryan. Chris Lowell as AJ Monroe. Max Greenfield, most known for The New Girl, as Joe.
Yeah.
Adam Brody.
Yes,
you know?
he does a lot of these movies, actually. That was actually one of
now,
my
when you
first
say
notes.
these movies...
I mean, he was also in Jennifer's Body, which I was also thinking about doing this episode on.
I'm kind of glad that you didn't, because that's unfortunately a lot of podcasts that I listen to. That's their go-to for their first female-led horror.
Okay,
so I'm glad that you did it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you swerved and went.
That
But Adam Brody is in that movie too, and he's also a shitbag in that movie.
Did you know the band in that movie is supposed to be making fun of Maroon 5? Did you know that?
No, but it fucking fits, doesn't it? Adam Levine just cheated on
Adam
his wife.
Brody is supposed to be Adam Levine in that movie. Anyways,
That's gross.
but let's not forget the most important celebrity cameo at the very beginning of the movie. McLovin from Superbad as nice guy McRapey.
Yeah. McRape?
I think I did a McRapey joke, actually.
Because I didn't know what his actual name is, the actor's name, and it sucks.
Neil. He's Neil.
Okay, alright.
Yeah.
He's Neil.
So, Cecilia, why don't you start us out with the... We'll start running through the plot and stop along the way as we have bullshit to say, basically. Or when you have something important to say. Because I got a whole page of bullshit here.
You got a whole I got a couple pages, but my notepad's small.
I have like half a page, guys.
Hey, it's not a competition, people.
It feels like a competition right now.
Well, then you're losing.
I am losing.
So the movie starts with our main character, Cassie, in a bar, acting like she's real fucked up and drunk, and she might need some help getting home. Mm-hmm. And the 3 dudes are talking about... You got Jerry, Paul, and the third dude who doesn't get a name.
I don't, yeah.
And they're all...
I was going to do a Bible joke. Like, what's the Meshach, so-and-so, and Abednego? Like, I couldn't think of it as Abednego, maybe. Anyway, continue.
But they're talking about who's going to be the one to try to take her home, and... Oh,
before that, they're talking about having a woman coworker at work is fucking ruining their vibe.
Yes.
I was hoping that you mentioned that.
I'd forgotten about that part because they go straight to
because they want to have meetings in strip clubs, but now they have a woman coworker and she's not down with that, and they're like, she's ruining the whole like work vibe. Like we're not able to work like we used to because we can't look at boobs while we work. Yeah. Men, am I right?
Anyway, Jerry wins the draw, and he acts all nice, and he volunteers to take her home, or like she lost her phone. Yeah, and he's gonna.
I very stupidly, having no idea, like not knowing anything about this movie going into it, was like I was in the totally wrong camp. I was like, this nice guy's gonna take her home, and is she gonna kill him? Like, that seems unfair. Because, again, I was completely falling. Like, if I was drunk, he could have absolutely taken advantage of me, because I was completely falling for his spiel. I was like, oh, yeah, okay. I am a little drunk. Take me home, nice man.
I do feel like it's an interesting juxtaposition, though, because at the bar, he is the one being like, well, I think it's just the fact that he's defending that female coworker. Yeah. He's the one who's got the, the slightly decent talking points down.
He's throwing out a couple of half-hearted defenses.
He is the dude from the last episode of Sandman talking about being a feminist while he keeps Calliope locked up in his bedroom.
Oh my God.
That is who he is.
Excellent pull. That is exactly who he is.
That is who Jerry is.
And that reveal, I was like, okay, cool. Not surprising. There was this super, like, is he not kind of guys going on, and then in the drop of a fucking zipper, he's all of a sudden not the nice guy. He's exactly what you think most things will happen to someone who's trying to help a drunken woman to their place. Not their own home, but to their place.
Well, they went the irony for me is twofold, because Cassie has lost her phone. And Jerry's telling her, you're going to need a phone to call an Uber. I'll drive you. And then they end up in the back of an Uber anyways. Yeah. Which is suspicious, number one, because if you said you're going to drive, why are you not driving?
That's a good point.
And two, on the trip, he's like, why don't we go to my house instead? Those are two giant red flags. Like,
you see the motive shift as the drive continues.
Yeah. And then they get to his apartment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had a note here that we skipped over because I was thinking about the Sandman. But first of all, I found out about myself. I have a visceral reaction to tucked in dress shirts and khakis and belts. Like it really turned my stomach.
Yeah,
it was so bad.
I think I have an allergy. And also, there's a point where the guy's like, they're looking at her, and one of them says something like, doesn't she realize what can happen to a girl in a club like this? Mm. And I wrote down, well, why hang out in clubs like that, my guy? Like, if you know that is this is that kind of place, why are you here? It's the whole...
You're answering your own question.
If you're sitting at a table with 4 Nazis, there's 5 Nazis at the table. Yeah.
You're answering your own question.
Yeah.
Why are you here? There because he's the type
he
of
is
person,
one of those guys.
He needs to be there.
But it was very revealing because he was like, doesn't she realize what can happen to a girl at a place like this? I'm like, then why you at a place like that, my man?
But it's so nice that once he starts, now that we're back at
so now they're at the house.
We're at Home Dude's apartment. He starts, laying her down. You think, he's doing something nice.
At no point...
I was already...
At no point does she give consent to go to the apartment either, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, the whole time she's saying no.
She's pretending to
I think
stumble,
I should go home.
Leaning against the wall.
To go. She actively says that she wants to go home.
Yeah, more than once. My apologies.
And so he finally has her in his apartment. He's laying her down, taking off her shoes and stuff, and pretends like he's just going to tuck her in. Then he climbs on top of her.
Hops, I dare say. Like it's 0 to 60. He is just there.
And he's just there on top of her, and he's just stroking her hair, and she's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And he's like, you're so pretty. And
fucking you're so pretty has never been creepier than in this movie. Every time one of these dudes starts talking about how pretty she is right before they try to rape her.
Yeah.
It is so fucking creepy.
And this guy had so many chances to not be shit. Like, he was, quote-unquote, doing the right thing so many times, and then he would start doing the wrong things, but there was always time for course correction. She doesn't...
Oh, she gives them plenty of chances.
She gives them so many chances. And I'm like, it would have kind of been interesting to have seen a quote-unquote real nice guy, like, how she reacts to a dude just, like, taking her home and
we
dropping
do
her
get
off.
a little bit of a tease of that.
Yeah.
We get the false hope of a nice guy.
Well, yeah. But I mean, like, a legit character who just comes in for one night, doesn't do that, just to see her, like, we sort of get it.
She probably would have just gotten up and gone home.
Yeah.
Because she's got a mission when she does these things.
I think she should have had a gift basket, though. But with neon lights on it that said, one of the good ones, and it's in quotes.
This is rewarding someone for, like, the bare minimum.
The bare minimum, right? The bar is so...
Congratulations, you didn't rate me. Here's your fruit basket.
This is exactly what we were talking about for the podcast. The bare minimum.
The bar is on
so
the
low.
floor.
So she should have a fruit basket that she would say.
Just an apple. Here's an apple.
It's got like a couple books.
Red Delicious.
It's got like a book written by Zora Neale Hurston. It's got a nice low fat yogurt pack. Yeah, but perfect. It would have been great.
As he's proceeding to do this, he starts moving himself lower and lower, and she's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
No, stop. And then she just immediately, out of her drunken stupor that she was putting on the facade, she's like, I said, stop. What do you do? And sits up, and he's like, you're drunk. She's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
And proceeds to just scare the ever-living shit out of him, because now he realized she was sober this whole time.
Yeah.
What the fuck? How am I going to get out of this one?
Which also realizes he knows the difference.
Yep.
Like, if during that time he had been like, hadn't recognized the signs of someone being aware of their surroundings, it would have been like, he's still a piece of shit, but it would have been like, he's ignorant. Like, he doesn't fucking know when someone's out of it or in it.
Drunk.
Yeah. Oh,
because when they get to the house, he's like, he fills up both of their drinks, and he fills his drink up this much,
and hers this much,
and hers to the fucking top of that cup.
I am going to go ahead and say that one I've done. I have done the unequal alcohol distribution, but because I have the threshold of, like, I don't know, a small dog, like a chihuahua. Like I could take a half a shot of vodka.
I'm also going to give you
and I'm already staggering.
And say consent has been established prior to the alcohol.
Absolutely. Oh, Jesus Christ, yeah. I'm not saying I'm like this guy in any way except the unequal distribution of alcohol. But that's because I'm a lightweight. And it's not because I'm, like, trying to trick someone into sleeping with me.
I had something like this happen before, where I gave myself the large amount of alcohol, and apparently that was offensive. So, like, I gave them too little, and that was...
I would be offended. I'd be like, how much do you have to drink before I'm pretty, Poncho?
Jerry is also a very bad kisser. I just want that to be fully established.
It was very disgusting.
Speaking of things that all guys in this movie share, like, even the romantic kiss with Belle, I'm like, that looks
like,
weird.
Like kissing a dead fish.
Yeah, it looked weird.
Like,
yeah.
Okay, so we see this man finally get his feelings hurt, everything, and he's like, "Oh, please don't turn me in. Fuck, I didn't mean to." He's crying. He's like, "Oh shit, I know my life's about to be fucking over because, like, I tried to rape you. Basically, there's no getting around.
Yeah.
I tried. I was about to. You broke your ruse, so basically, I caught you, motherfucker."
Yeah.
And so she's like, "You're not a nice guy." Then she lists off exactly what type of man he is and how many other men she's met just like him.
Yep.
And why she does what she does. Because it's to prove a point that there are no such things as any of you nice guys.
Yep.
You're all the same. Because you're nice until you're not. You're nice until you don't get what you want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a reoccurring theme, not only in this movie, but throughout a lot of life that you see with women on the internet who have to share these horrifying stories about a guy who just wouldn't take no for an answer, but he claimed he was a nice guy. But when you would tell him no...
Well, it's the same thing. You can see sort of a microcosm of this with those people who like to DM girls who are like, "You're just so pretty, you're so pretty. Can I have your number?
And they never respond.
The moment a girl's like, "Thank you, but no." They go, "Well, you're not that pretty anyway."
Fucking bitch, dumb cunt, ugly cat, shit like that.
It's a microcosm of that same attitude of like, I can be very friendly right up until you're not doing the thing that I want you to be doing.
I think I know we were going to make this let Cecilia take the rose on this the lead on this Goreship, but I think this is where I can step in. To my fellow men with fragile egos. Play a video game you're really good at. That's a good way to get your ego back where you need it. As opposed to sending horrible texts to the lady that didn't respond to you. Do something you're good at. Do something that makes you feel like you are in control of your situation again. Because this is what it's about. You were not in control of that situation. You were made to feel small because a woman didn't immediately kowtow to your advances. Beat that level of Super Mario Brothers that you're really good at. Like, you don't have to text her back. You don't. That comfort after the fourth good morning when you haven't heard anything back, you can let that one go. Go find something else to make to rebuild that fragile narcissistic ego shell of yours.
If she says no, just let that be the end of it.
That's a great place to end it. But no.
Yeah.
So this is Judgmental Horror Junkies signing off.
Yeah, that PSA was sponsored in full by this podcast.
We weren't supposed to reach the moral of the story till the end. Cecilia, you're new here. You got there a little early. I don't know what to do with the rest of the show.
We can keep talking about the movie.
Please continue us
there's
onward.
a lot of meat in between there.
I honestly thought she murdered him.
I did
Yes,
too.
yes,
Especially when I saw the tally marks.
Yeah.
And there were black and red ones. I was like, does red mean she killed? Does black mean she didn't? Or is red just the pin that was laying nearby?
That goes back to what I was discussing earlier with the pre-production of this film, where it was supposed to be a revenge killer themed movie where she would kill these men who tried to take advantage of her, and that's what that notebook was for, originally for the tally marks. But because they changed it, they still kept the notebook, but they didn't really clarify what the color coordinated of the marks were. But
I also like that they're only
change.
first names, because it's very much like a guy who's a player will hook up with girls and like only have their first name or not even their first name.
Yeah.
Like it was a nice turn the tables, like a little black book, but instead of names of your hookups, it's names of men who you shamed into trying to be better.
But that's not the only book she has. That's not the only book she has that we find out in this movie.
Yeah, it's true.
She has basically her equivalent of her Kill Bill list.
Yeah.
That's the way I looked at it. It was her Kill Bill list.
I consider it her dream list.
Yeah.
Like, if I can get these guys. Yeah.
And that was just the beginning of the movie. That was just the beginning intro segment leading into the credits and what establishes the background of the story.
Great hook.
So you have this
really
woman,
drew me in.
And
like,
you
I'm
don't know
here
what's going
for
to
this.
happen for the rest of the movie. We get the title credits, and now we start the movie with finding out she just is, a lot of the rest of us, just an angry college dropout, 30-something, living with their parents, working at a coffee shop.
With Laverne Cox, which I just want to, again, I really love Laverne Cox.
National treasure.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Global treasure.
There you go.
So when did you realize that she wasn't murdering people? Because it took me a while.
It took me a really long time. Actually, when Paul mentions that, because there's that scene where she runs into Ryan at the bar when she's going home with Paul.
Yeah.
And Paul mentions, oh, you're that crazy chick Jerry took home.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so Jerry got to talk about taking her home afterwards. So
Yeah.
Because she went back to the same
Jerry's,
club. She went back to the same bar, nightclub, or whatever.
Jerry's still alive.
Yeah, and
It's a good hunting ground because...
Maybe he'll never come back there, though. Because you don't see him for the rest of the movie. So you just assume he learned his lesson. He'll never go back to that fucking bar.
Yeah, real possible.
I hope so.
So...
But yeah, she's working. I really enjoy the way they made her character, because like after not killing Jerry, she goes like she stares down the construction workers, and you get like this like where they just like they go from being like, oh hey hot honey, like you want to come over here, to being like, well go away bitch, we don't need like
it was that internet conversation in
all
real
over
life.
again.
Yeah, that's where we learned it. We learned it from catcalling girls from all of our construction worker days.
And then she's working at the coffee shop, and she's just... I'm surprised that Laverne Cox's character, I don't remember her name, I'm surprised that she lets her still work there, because that girl comes up for coffee, and she's like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I work here, but I'm not working here.
Yeah.
Got it? Cool.
Yeah.
And, she's just staring out the window. I was like, fucking, hey, if you were my coffee server, I'd be pissed. If you just told me no, I'd be like, the fuck you mean?
Where's our female solidarity? Like, I just want a coffee, lady.
Like,
oh, did you want to take a chance to talk about Cassie's parents? Because we get introduced to them as well, and I think they're both very fascinating characters.
I didn't know what to do with them at the start.
Yeah.
Because...
we can bring them up later if you'd rather.
Well, they're little, like, when she starts actually dating Ryan, and she brings him home.
Yeah.
Then I clocked the mother a little bit more, but
That's
at first
fair.
this was just a really awkward...
I got real bad vibes off the mom right off the bat. And that transition from Cassie being in complete power to being...
like a doll.
belittled,
well, ironically, the typical... incel life, living in her parents' basement kind of thing, like not in their basement, but that exact life that that you always see the people that fucking follow Andrew Tate around that are just like, oh man, I can't get a girl because they want a dude who lives on his own and blah 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 blah. Like she's living that life under her parents, and it was. I don't know. It was just for
Honestly,
me that was an interesting.
I clocked it more as
thing.
The trauma because
that's why she was living that life. Yeah,
I think it's really interesting the way that like she's so stuck because of what happened to Nina.
She hasn't moved on.
She never, like, her... I think one of the...
Sorry.
Jumping a little ahead.
Batman. We are jumping. I am jumping a little ahead. To bring it back to this moment, though, I really like the music in this. Mm-hmm. And so afterwards, after she explains to her parents why she came home late, which they know nothing about what this child is doing, which I guess she's not a child. She's like 30. Yeah. But they know nothing about what their daughter is doing. And she's looking up makeup tutorials for blowjob lipsticks, and I wrote down I'm gonna have to go look those up. I didn't know they had makeup tutorials for that.
Well, I think it's called blowjob lips, like where your lips just draw all the attention to them because they're so red, I guess.
Yeah, that's it.
Shiny. They're shiny too.
Yeah, it's like that weird, like Jordan Peterson talks about how like it's supposed to look like in the Monkey Kingdom. It's supposed to look like the engorged lips.
When I was in high school,
impregnatable female.
You know,
thanks, Jordan.
The young boys, we all used to call those lips a certain kind of lips. Those were called DSL lips. You know, dick sucking lips.
Oh, DSL.
Yeah, because
I have not heard that in forever.
Exactly.
And you just brought back
bad memories.
Oh my god,
it's high school all over again, right?
Oh,
yeah, it fills you with a pain.
Yes,
because that was a common thing that, like, you know, all the boys in my school would say is like, that girl's got some DSLs.
Yes.
And so, that's essentially what the new makeup trend is like, you want your lips to look like DSLs.
I thought DSL was the place where I downloaded illegal music.
No, I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, I unlocked that in your brain, and you're welcome for that free memory. I know, it's very troubling, it's unsettling, but essentially that's the look that they're trying to cater to in this film, and that's the first thing I thought of.
Or in that video, at least.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of whenever she was looking at these tutorial videos. I was like, DSLs?
Yeah, DSLs.
I was like, I know no one says that nowadays anymore.
No, now they say BJLs.
You feel a certain type of way, but it's fine. God. You can process it. You can process it all you want.
I'm going to need to take a minute. I got one of those
Cecilia, this is why you're supposed to be taking the lead, because when we let Goreship do it, this is where we end up.
We unlock childhood traumas.
Look, I was just dropping my tidbit of knowledge that happened to come from a high school memory, and it's all about dick-sucking lips. What's so wrong with me mentioning dick-sucking lips?
I don't know. It feels wrong, though. I don't know why. It just feels bad.
It does feel wrong. But you know what? At least her fucking makeup looked bang.
I actually thought her eyeliner looked too heavy, but maybe that's
she was supposed to look like a little bit, trashy. That's why.
Yeah.
So, and we skipped from that to her meeting the writer dude, Neil.
Yeah.
I wrote down Creepy McLovin.
Wait, did she not meet Ryan in the coffee shop the first time when that's not the spit scene? That's next. Okay.
That's next. Because she meets Ryan after this part because she has this date with Neil.
Yeah. Dude has cocaine and a dream catcher, and those are two things I didn't expect to see in the same room.
Creepy McLovin doesn't like makeup also, which was really, that is every conversation you have with a dude who wonders why you feel like you have to wear makeup.
He says all the wrong right things. Like all the I'm a feminist.
Girls are just so much prettier without makeup on.
Stop dressing for men. And it's like
as if he would have brought her home if she didn't look like obviously the way she looked worked for you.
Yep.
Like this is a conversation that I do not understand. You liked it enough to approach it.
Yeah.
And if you didn't want to bring her home, I don't understand why you would have done that.
You know why? And this is I'm gonna steal a line from Don Henley. We've been poisoned by these fairy tales. Guys, in the 80s and 90s, there were so many scenes where you have your guy and your girl protagonist in a movie. And in the romantic scenes, it's just one of the things the guy says. It's like, you're so beautiful. Why do you dress this way? Why do you wear all that makeup? Why are you wearing glasses? And like, in the movies, the girls just turn to butter for it. And so guys see that and they emulate that behavior out in the real world, and maybe there's an Oedipus complex involved that when they were young children at home, they saw their mother both with and without makeup, and when she was without makeup is when she was nurturing, when she was putting on makeup, she was going out, she was leaving.
It's a weird combo to draw.
Oh, I've got like 8 more. I just picked 2.
He also spends the entire time just talking about himself.
His book, his novel. I'm working on a novel. Which, thank God, she tells him it's bad.
I love that.
Anytime you can take bad literature out of the world, you're doing. I mean, sure, she's stopping rapists, and that's important. But what she's really stopping is bad literature, and that is really where she shines.
But she does give Neil a bit of a break because he doesn't try to have sex with her while she's sleeping.
It's again, that is the low bar. She even says, I think, at that point about what a low bar she's had.
That is the low bar that you have managed to climb above.
You woke me up. A lot of guys wouldn't have.
Yeah. That was great. It was so creepy.
Yeah.
But again, with the "you're so pretty," he's also one of those like "you're so pretty," like right. Why?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Excellent question. Why?
But yeah, she gives him a punch about the book being bad on her way out, which made me laugh.
Yeah.
And then the next scene is when we meet Ryan, because Cassandra is 30, and her parents give her a present, which she said was the nicest get the fuck out of my house gift she's ever received.
I at first, and maybe this is because me and Goreship watched Gremlins last month, I thought it was going to be a Mogwai. It was like the same box that Gizmo came in. She even shakes it, and I'm like, this is exactly like Gremlins. They stole that scene from Gremlins. But yes, she opens it, and it's a very nice piece of furniture luggage. Yep. Very nice piece of luggage.
It's the nicest piece of get the fuck out of my house luggage I've ever received.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
And this is when I started clocking the parents, really. Because at first, I didn't really...
Mom is playing that... I wrote, Mom is playing that guilt guitar. And this, I recognize this. Let me tell you, the dynamics between the parents and the child, like... Even though being a man, I felt this so fucking hard. Like the mother being, what do I tell my friends? Not worried about her happiness for her happiness'
Her mother
sake.
is a narcissist.
Worried about what do I tell my friends? And the father gets away okay here. Like, he's definitely submissive to her in the respect that he doesn't defend Cassie when he should. But man, when you're talking toxic relationships, it's not even close. Like, she's toxic up here, and he is.
Yeah.
But there are times when you actually have sweet moments between Cassie and her father. There is none of that.
It seems like
Cassie
he's
and her
been
mother.
beat down by his wife after all these years. That she's the dominant personality.
She is definitely
the dominant personality,
the mover and shaker in that house,
and she resents her daughter for not being.
Married, 2.5 kids, white picket fence.
Yes, and it's very obvious.
Well, because she was in medical school.
Exactly.
She was getting ready to achieve all the bragging dreams. Doctor, lawyer, famous actor. Those are the things parents can brag about. I'm going to tell you both now, if you've done anything except those things, you have failed your parents.
There was a subtle jab in there.
Jeez, Mom, God.
There was a subtle jab in there. I don't know if you guys got the dialogue, but her mom... Essentially, at some point throughout talking was basically like, well, I'd be able to afford more if my daughter actually was a doctor. Mm-hmm. Basically, she's like, I could have lived off of your life. Yeah. I could have fucking sailed
you could have bought me a nice house
with my daughter's doctor money. She would have taken care of us, right?
But now I still have to work.
It's implied. She didn't directly say it, but it's
very
implied.
And you also have to work at a crappy coffee shop. Get a better job.
And so the mom resents her for basically taking away her pseudo, rich lifestyle she could have lived off from leeching from her own daughter. It's not directly said, but it's very implied with the way she...
Strongly implied.
Yeah, she
says
things.
It's a narcissistic and emotionally abusive situation. Her mother is either a straight narcissist or she's an emotionally immature person. I actually just read a book about emotionally immature parents and what to do when you're a child of them. And it is a very interesting... Emotionally immature people can't not make all those situations about themselves.
Right.
I got divorced, and my mother went on about how she didn't believe in relationships anymore because I got divorced. A situation which had nothing to do with anyone.
Did that comfort you, Cecilia?
Oh,
Did
it
you
was
feel
very.
better?
It was a very nice, comforting thing to know.
I'm writing these down so when I'm a father one day. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very nice to know that my relationship troubles could make other people not believe in love anymore. That was great. It helped me out a lot in that situation.
Well, I'm glad I didn't. While you were going through that, I'm glad I didn't mention how that's why I decided to not be monogamous.
And
my polyamorous lifestyle is a direct result to you making me not believe in love. So thank you. Life's been so much better. I love it, Cecilia.
I'm glad I could help you out.
Much love. Thank you.
But emotionally immature people do that.
Well, even if her mother sees, and I think she does, sees her daughter suffering. She says, you don't have friends. You never go out. It's just work and then staying over for inventory. Like, you never do anything. So I think her mother does recognize that she's suffering and want to help, but she can't because she's an emotionally unavailable narcissist. So it does. It connects right back to, it's all, I take your suffering and making it about me because A, I can't help, I don't know how to help you. And B, because everything's about me.
With that being said, she's also one of the lead factors in denying the trauma that she's trying to cope with and deal with and process. Mm-hmm. Because throughout the movie, and this is where we start getting little tidbits when she starts dating Ryan, we get a little bit more and more understanding of what
started this crusade.
What's wrong with you? Well, my best friend Nina. And that's where it kind of starts taking off. And this is where it starts getting really heavy on the discussion. From here on out, folks are going to discuss more heavily about rape,
right,
and rape culture, not only in the day-to-day workplace and in life, but especially at colleges. Colleges and rape culture have had a synonymous relationship for so long. So long.
Fucking Brock Turner, man.
And
every 80s movie that takes place in a college.
And the way that rape culture has inhabited college life, college society, college politics, it is very heavily reflected in this movie, especially within Ivy League school, such as the medical school that they attend.
Yeah.
And it's very disturbing. It's very upsetting at times. I found it very upsetting when you start finding out details and you find out more of the chain links of people who, both men and women, are responsible for the trauma.
Women can be enablers. Women...
Oh, no. In this movie, they are direct contributions.
Women contribute to the patriarchy in a lot of very tiny ways. And I think this movie does a good job of kind of accentuating that too. But before we get to the heavy,
now you're getting it.
I feel like there's two women in this movie that we can very heavily blame for
we'll get to Madison and Miss.
But let's. I just want people to know that once they start dating, this is when information starts coming to light.
Because Ryan was a part of that second scene, so we get.
It's your second content warning.
Yeah, we get to Cassandra turns 30. She goes to work. She's talking to her boss about how. Because the boss is like, you can go do other things. I've put your name in for moving up and stuff. And Cassie doesn't want any of that. And then I think Ryan might have came in the first time, but Ryan comes back or whatever. At this point.
The first time's when he gets his spit latte.
Yep.
Yes.
Which, here's the thing. At this point, two things enter my head. Number one, goddamn, I love Bo Burnham.
Bo Burnham is funny and cute.
Yes. And number two, please don't have, I call it the Tennant sickness. And it's where they keep casting David Tennant as a pedophile, like in a bunch of different, or like a very monstrous, like Jessica Jones, a criminal. Like he keeps getting cast in this role, and I'm like, is Bo Burnham also going to be this guy that every time I see him in a movie, I'm like, oh god, oh god.
But unlike you guys, I don't think Bo Burnham is a good person in real life. I think he's funny.
Yeah,
that's where my line draws. I don't really think anything good about the man.
Every interview I've seen about him,
that's fine.
And again, it's one of those things about celebrities you don't know.
My perception of just from the look of his face, he's got one of those. It's just something. It's just something where you can look at a person and be like, you don't seem like a good person. That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
I will say this: I think he's a good person who's incredibly smug.
I honestly, in the interviews,
I also do not find him attractive. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I don't find him attractive like you do. I'm not lusting after like you two.
I'm not lusting after him. He's cute and like a little brother kid.
Oh, okay, that clarifies a lot.
Yeah.
I do find him attractive, but too tall. I would take. I'd take a foot off.
I'm not. He's not on my list of people I would want, but David Tennant is. But yes, Bo Burnham is not. I think he's cute and a little brother, like slightly annoying, kind of, but
yeah.
I do think he's funny. And in the interviews and stuff I've seen with him, he seems like a fairly decent person.
Yeah.
If not just a white dude, and I can kind of get where you could get irritated.
Yeah. I like Bo, and because he's so funny, he's a cutie.
So Ryan and Cassie have kind of like a date at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
after the coffee shop closes. And Gail has 100% had sex on that counter. I fully believe Gail has had sex on that counter.
Whenever you warn other employees about where to and not have sex, it's because you have already had sex there. And you understand the hazards that one might encounter having sex at said location. Yeah. As someone who's closed down a few places I work at, like, these warnings do not come from ignorance.
It's funny because with that being said, it made me think of the line from in Clerks 2 when Rosario Dawson and the lead guy basically talk about how they had sex on the cook line and she got mayo in her pussy and lettuce on his asshole. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, don't have sex there. That's you'll wind up with mayo in your vagina and lettuce up your butt crack. And I was like, what? Huh?
I think if you really think about it, though, every interaction that Cassie has with Ryan is a catalyst for bad shit happening.
True.
Ryan is bad.
Yeah.
He's the one that breaks the news to her that her trauma pal, Mr. Al Monroe, is coming back to America after all these years.
To marry his model girlfriend.
Yeah,
he's getting this happy ending, thank goodness.
That's when you see the spiral behind Cassie's eyes starting to form. You see the whirl of her expression. I love the way that the camera just picks up on her fucking like, what did you just say to me?
And Ryan's over here off in La La Land, just like, you know,
it's like,
this date's going real great. Like, he's not...
It's like, the gang. I don't know if you two have encountered this, but I often have this exact experience where I see someone from back in the day, whatever day that was, who talks about a bunch of other people that I don't know and could not give any fucks about, and the other person tries to convince me that I did. Like, in this case, it's valid, because he's like, I thought you knew so-and-so and so-and-so, and it's like, and she did, but she didn't want to talk about it, because all that horrible shit she's repressing. Yeah, but...
not repressing.
Yeah, that's not the right word, but that she's repressing in this conversation, at least, that she doesn't want him to know that her connection to all that, which is wise. It's a good way to get away with crime. But yeah, I've had this happen where you meet people from high school and they're like, oh, well, Donald's doing this, and this, and like my mind is just drawing a big question mark with a jacket from my high school on it, and I'm like, yeah, Donald. I don't know. And they're like, yeah, Donald. Donald did this, and this. And I'm like, we had very different high school lives. Like, very different communities, very different.
Do you remember so-and-so? I don't remember people I met yesterday. Why
Look,
the fuck
if they
would
were
I
not actively smoking pot under the bleachers with me, I don't know how you expect me to know who they were.
There were like 500 kids in this school, man. Yeah, I don't know why you expect me to remember anybody.
I'm still in touch with the 4 I like, and the other 496 could fall off this earth tomorrow, and I would not know.
But Ryan is over here being a wonderful spout of information for awful things. So Al is back in the country. Al is getting married soon. Madison is on Al's Find Your Friend page, and like... I love the Facebook knockoffs, by the way. Every time a movie has a Facebook knockoff, it is the funniest shit.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck it. I wouldn't want to pay a shit ton of money to Facebook to let them license into my movie. Fuck Zuckerberg.
You know what I would do, though? If I was Bing, I would let all the movies use me for free in a desperate attempt to overtake Google. I would be like... Because then they would be like, yeah, I don't want to make up Oogle because everyone knows I'm just doing Google and it feels stupid. But Bing's like, yes, please use Bing. I would let Bing. If I was the head of Bing, that's what I would do.
And it's funny that you mentioned that Ryan is like the catalyst of all bad things happening. Because straight up, Ryan is the whole reason why her spiral happens to begin with, and she creates the plan. Meeting Ryan in general, her having that interaction is the first step into what leads to her master plan starting to unfold. She meets him, they go on a date, they have a chemistry. Then, the second thing that happens, he tells her, your traumatizer is coming back, and he's getting to live his fucking life hoity-toity and marry another rich, beautiful girl.
Yeah. And
that's what sets her off, and she starts going down the mental rabbit hole, reliving what happened to her. And you do see tidbits of like, Nina and her time at college.
Well, there's a very Batman scene of her sitting in the dark with, like, a tablet just scrolling through pictures of her and Nina.
Yeah.
Like, no other light except the light from the tablet. And I'm like, that's some Bruce Wayne obsessing about his dead parents stuff right there.
A little bit, yeah. And so, because of this, I feel like I'm going to go ahead and blame Bo Burnham as Ryan for setting off the chain of events that winds up spiraling through the rest of this movie.
Yeah.
Because I think she would have been not completely okay, but if she never knew that Al was coming back, I don't think it would have set her off the way it did.
Well, if he hadn't, obviously you should have already watched the movie, but spoilers ahead. If he had not been there at the event, this would have just been kind of a bull in a china shop type situation where he just kept like bringing up bad shit without being a guilty party himself. Like he just keeps accidentally mentioning her dead friends and her rapist and like her dead friend's rapist, and like he wouldn't, he would be auxiliary character.
Also, I think, once you know that Ryan was also a part of the situation, the fact that he mentions them is like, yeah, they're not bad guys.
Yeah, he says they're good guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good guys.
Yeah, they're good guys.
Yeah.
Like that, he is also trash, but he's trash in a much quieter kind of way.
Yeah. Or he's more of a like, I used to be trash, but now I'm a child doctor and I've got my life together, and like that's not me anymore. It's like, yeah, it is though. You're still protecting those people. You're still like looking out for them. Like, it's still you, baby. Like, you've done nothing to change the course of this ship. Like, you're right. He's just gotten quieter about it.
I think he was always kind of quiet about it. He's one of those dudes that like he doesn't do the bad thing. Like he didn't participate in the rape of Nina, but he also doesn't come out when someone needs to speak up, because they did an investigation into it supposedly, and when that happened, no one said anything.
We'll get into the discussion of that investigation in a little bit. I will say the one bad thing he did in this movie right off the bat, and I find it ironic that this happened to be a movie that came out during pandemic lockdown times. He drinks a cup of coffee with spit in it.
I didn't think that was a bad thing, though.
But given the current time frame we were living in,
I mean, yes, I would not advise.
It seemed so funny.
It was. I actually.
It's not my kink. I'm not into spit kink. Sorry, I will shame your kink on that one.
I'm not into spit kink either, but don't shame people's kinks. People do what they
don't yuck people's yums.
Some people deserve a yuck. Some people deserve a yuck.
But at any rate, I actually thought it was kind of hot because he took the challenge. Like, Cassie was giving him a challenge of like, you were in here, and in 5 seconds you managed to be an asshole to me.
Yeah.
You want to like
here's your redemption art. Drink the spit. Yeah.
And he did it.
Yeah.
And I thought, I mean, it's not my kink, but that was a little hot. I'm gonna give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still curious. I forget. My brain is lapsing. How did they wind up on the date anyways? Because she gave him a fake phone number.
Oh,
he comes back in, and he's like, "Yeah,
that number." Okay.
And he's like, "Yeah, I almost eloped with them, but he's gonna be." I don't know. He was a longshoreman or something. It was like, yeah, he's gonna be gone for a few. He did a whole joke routine about how I was texting the number you gave me, and long story short, I almost fell in love with this guy who's a construction worker, but now I'm back. I'm trying again. Yeah, it took me a little bit to realize that Madison was what's-her-face from Community.
Yeah, Alison Brie.
Yeah, I love Alison Brie. Yeah. Not in this movie, though.
Yeah, oh, no, she still plays the ritzy, hoity-toity, bitchy brat character very well. Very, very well. And I've seen her in a couple other roles where she still plays that niche character. But
some people get typecast.
Unfortunately, it's a typecast that she's really fucking good at.
She's very good at, yeah.
She's good at it.
All right, so... sorry.
Madison...
Sorry.
So because of this conversation with Ryan, Cassie messages Madison on Find Your Friends, and they end up going on a lunch date.
Yeah.
Where Cassie brings up Madison's reaction to Nina's rape after a little bit of small talk and getting Nina very, very drunk. I think it's really cool how much forethought Cassie puts into the shit that she does. Because she orders champagne... She gets herself a 7-Up.
Yeah, 7-Up, yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
And so she can stay sober and level-headed the whole time.
Yeah.
And she...
When she's leaving and points Madison out to that guy, I started to, because I didn't know what was going on. For a second, I was like, "Oh no, Cassie, you become that which you hate. Like, what are you doing?"
Had more of an issue with the notion of her setting Madison up to be raped.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
I had with her murdering people.
Yeah. Which turns out to not be what happened, but that's the taste.
Well, that's what you're supposed to.
Yeah. It's implied to infuriate you, and it was a very elaborate Riddler-esque move of her.
It really was. A lot of forethought.
Riddler-esque move of her to do all these contraptions to have the makings of implied assault had happened to her. Be like, see? This is the shit that you said was not a big deal.
Yeah.
This is the shit that is not a big deal to you, right? But this is what happened to my friend. And we skipped over it, but she does fully detail that my friend was raped at a party. We tried to get, the school involved. We tried to get law involved. It was all dismissed and thrown out. Nina killed herself because she was harassed. She was, talked down to. She was called a liar. And she was basically made to leave the school. And that's why Cassie dropped out. Because once Nina killed herself, she had nothing else to... She's like, I have no reason to be here. These people are the reason why she's dead. And that's why she lives a life. So we get that little bit of quick tidbit in the little jump right before she starts her plan.
Also, Madison, after spending like 20 minutes talking about herself and at no point asking how Cassie is doing, once it's revealed why Cassie brought Madison here, and this is another thing where Cassie gives Madison a chance to...
She does.
She gives her a chance to straighten up and fly right. And Madison, I think this was very interesting that the movie picked Madison to take the role of the victim blaming. Madison's the one that's like, well, you know how Nina was at parties. If you get drunk all the time, like, these things are going to happen. Blah, 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 blah. Like, Madison took that role, that patriarchal role of, well, what was she wearing? Like,
how did she act? Madison
did she act like she deserved to be raped?
Madison slut-shamed Nina. And Cassie's like, you were not exactly, like, a virgin or anything. Like, you were also doing these very same things that you're
right, you just didn't get quote-unquote caught.
The worst thing is, I think when Madison straight up is just like, well, you were her best friend, where were you? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, that was just
Cassie believed her the moment. The difference between Madison and Cassie is that Cassie believed her friend.
Yeah.
And Cassie was on Nina's side the whole time.
And Cassie's already dealing with that. Why wasn't I there guilt?
Yeah.
But Madison knows that because your friends know where to hit.
So when they're in the restaurant discussing, and Madison is obviously getting very uncomfortable, she's kind of readjusting herself, readjusting her...
Oh, that personality flip was like, oh my god.
She straight up says...
Good acting.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it, this pissed me off. She says, it was a long time ago, and that someone with a reputation for always being very drunk, and it was bound to end up in a situation like that. You know that, Cassie.
Was bound. Yeah, no blame for the fellas. No, woman was bound.
And immediately, the next woman in this story, which we'll get to here shortly, she does the same exact thing in a more...
tight-knit sweater type way.
Because she's in a place of power. Yeah. She actually is a place of power, and she is the main female that I blame in this movie for things getting the way it did, because she's acting like a man. She's acting exactly like a man, an old white man in power did.
Women support the patriarchy. Like, there's a million different little ways that, like... I think Madison shows it on a lower level of, like, power, like blaming the victim and, like, well, what that was gonna happen to Nina because Nina liked to drink and yeah. But yeah, Madison gets left with a dude, and it is implied that Cassie
took her back to the hotel room.
Cassie paid
advantage of her
to take advantage of her. Which, again, that left a really sour taste in my mouth. I did not like that.
Did you feel better when the reveal was...
I did, actually. I did. So, then the next scene is Cassie picking up a teenage girl at a high school.
Pretending to be a worker for a famous boy band.
And I honestly didn't know what she was planning on doing with this girl. I didn't know who this girl was. But no part of me, as a parent, liked this scene. Mm-hmm. I was unhappy this entire time.
By design, the people that made this movie left the last scene ambiguous. Well, not even ambiguous, heavily leaning towards she set her friend up to be raped.
Not her friend.
You can't call her friend.
Well, her friend in the past, her ex-friend.
She left this woman.
She left this woman that she knew in the past.
Ex-dorm mate.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think
I
They
think
were
they
friends until that
up
happened.
until Al raped them.
Well, I don't want to get into were they really friends.
Cassie
considered Madison a friend until she did.
Okay, fair enough.
So she leaves her ex-friend in what seems to be set up for rape. And then the next scene, we see her picking up a child. We don't know any context for this.
That was very sus.
But yeah, they set us up to think Cassie has gone down a dark road.
She's become the monster.
Yeah, she has become that which she fears. I'm sorry, though.
No, it was very unsettling because it went from... It made me think that she'd lost the thread. Mm-hmm. I have absolutely no problem with this woman, even if she were a serial killer. I have no problem with her killing dudes.
Children and other women being raped.
I have no problem with her killing dudes who are taking home drunk women to rape. Absolutely no problem with that. You murder those people. I am 100% on your side.
In the InfoWars. Politically, we have no problem with it.
I sincerely have no problem with it.
Every time... Here's the thing.
This is not admissible in court, and I'm not giving anyone permission to do anything.
Yeah.
But
don't take advice from a podcast.
Oh God, you can't quote that podcast either.
That's true.
Anyways.
Yeah. Actually, I can because the person that says that
all right,
isn't
we've
the
lost
horrible
the plot.
person.
Back to the plot. She picks up a teenage girl named Amber. Then we cut away.
I didn't know the girl's name.
We'll find out her name very shortly after.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
We have the guise of her pretending to be a worker for a famous boy band that this girl happens to fucking love very much.
Not happens to. Cassie does her fucking research.
Yeah. Cassie's, yeah.
So, and then it cuts to a scene of her in an office.
She's back at the good old college to see that piece of shit. I'm sorry,
Dean Walker.
Yes, Dean Walker, played by the ever beautiful and wonderful Connie Brighton, who plays a very good, wicked, evil bitch. Yeah.
Connie Brighton
love her.
Exudes power.
Like really does.
Connie Brighton just has, again, speaking of getting typecast, like Connie Brighton often gets put in these roles because she just has that presence. That presence of just like...
I'm a bad bitch.
She walks in and says something, and you're like, "Yes, ma'am, I am on
it." Exactly.
As instructed.
That whole scene,
the showdown with Dean Walker,
was fucking
infuriating.
It was magical.
It was a masterpiece.
It was well done. Mm-hmm. The pacing was good. I liked the way
the tension.
Yes,
you could feel the tension on the camera.
The way Cassie walked in and she knew exactly why she was there the entire time.
To bring up the fact that Al Monroe is back in the States, and once again reiterate that she and Nina had come to Dean Walker, specifically Dean Walker, about this problem. About the sexual assault against her, and that something needed to be done. And she was one of the very first people to be like, well, I don't think that's what happened.
This quote I got from the Dean... These choices can be so damaging and regrettable.
She did all of the things. She did all
Nina's
of the things.
Choice.
Ruin a young man's life. Have to give these boys the benefit of the doubt. Like, she literally...
She went...
She had a checklist. Goddamn playbook. Yeah. And she hit all of the high notes. She hit all of them.
You have a daughter, right?
I have two.
No. From the movie. She's like, you have a daughter, right? I believe her name is Amber? She's what, 15?
Speaking of Riddler stuff, the scene, when the Dean calls her daughter and the phone rings and I'm like, that is a power play. That is just, that is a chef's kiss work of art.
I think the most insulting part about that, though, on top of it, is right before she's like, oh, we're playing this game. The only reason why she's switching this mode is because Dean refuses to acknowledge that who Nina is. She pretends like she doesn't remember Nina. Oh, yeah, Nina. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
At least Dr. Octopus remembers her name, and we'll get there.
Jesus. That's another reason why this cast is so star-studded. Alfred Molina.
Goddamn Alfred. That man.
I didn't recognize that was Doc Ock.
Yeah, Doc Ock.
Okay. No, so yeah, we get the scene with the Dean, and then she tells the Dean, I put her in the room
where Nina was raped.
And
I left her there drunk with several other older boys.
Yeah, but they're
good boys.
If I were a mother, I'd be worried. But I don't have as much faith in humanity as you do.
Yeah, no, she says I don't have as much faith in men as you do.
Yeah,
and that whole bit right there was a fucking masterpiece.
Her face literally turned pale sheet white when she tried calling her, and Cassie just lifts up the phone and was like,
That by far.
She's gonna want that back.
Yeah.
And now Dean Walker is backtracking. I should have believed you, Nina. I'm so sorry. I should have believed it. It was the wrong thing. Oh, now it's the wrong thing to do because your daughter could be in a similar situation?
I guess it's different when it's someone you love.
Yeah.
That was so good.
There's a scene, quick aside, there's a scene in the one of the episodes of Last of Us where, I won't go into details in case people haven't seen Last of Us, but there's a girl who is interrogating a guy with a gun and talking about all the stuff that him and his people did. And the guy's like, well, this has to end. And she's like, oh, it has to end now. When I have the gun aimed at you. Not when the gun was aimed at my sister. Not when all these other people died that were on quote-unquote my side. Like, now suddenly this has to end. Now you're a believer. And I had flashbacks of that because Cassie's basically telling the dean, like, point, now you want to do something about this situation.
Yeah, at this point, I was pretty solidly... No, actually, because right after she leaves... So, she tells the dean the truth. After the dean owns up to all of her shit, she's like... Your
not bright daughter is at a diner.
You need to go pick her up or she'll never figure it out. She's not very smart, is she? But we know brains aren't everything.
Well, it was also a very much... Almost kind of like... I like that scene because it's how people of color, you always hear people talking about how they have to train their children how to act around cops so they don't get shot. Mm-hmm. When she said your child isn't very smart, I don't think she was just talking like your child's intelligence is low. It's also like you haven't taught your child how to be safe around men.
How to protect herself, how to look out.
Or anybody. Because this bitch hops into the car.
Hops in the car with a stranger to meet 4 men in a place that your mom does not know about. You have not taught your child well. When she said your child is not smart, I think she wasn't just saying your child's kind of a dim bulb. She was saying you need to give your child street smarts because right now she's doing dumb shit like getting in a car with me.
And the beauty about that ending scene that you're leading into is when she does reveal, okay, I'm not a monster. I just love fucking with you. I want you to think that I'm just as horrible as you.
I want this to leave an impact on you because obviously nothing else has fucking done it.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's the reoccurring thing I noticed in these first 2 attempts of getting revenge. Madison, it's implied that she did something monstrous and let her be taken advantage by another man that she paid.
Because you have to, so the lesson sticks.
Yeah, and so you think, oh my god, you're a fucking monster. And then they introduce the kid thing. You know, like, oh my god, did she actually leave this teenage girl drunk with a bunch of older teenage boys?
Yeah.
Fuck, you're becoming even worse. But they are giving you clarity, like, okay, this didn't really happen. It was a ruse. She had to fucking destroy the mom's mental state and emotions to prove a point.
One more thing about the dean before we move on. As much as I like talking about deans, you said this had to happen because nothing else was sinking in, and it reminded me that the dean straight up says, do you know how many of these accusations I get every year? Mm-hmm. So you're exactly right, Cecilia. This has happened multiple times. Every year she's been the dean, and it's going to take something like this to make her finally see it through the right lens. It's kind of like when a conservative or a Republican daughter or son comes out and all of a sudden they're pro-gay rights. Like, you've got to see it through a lens where someone you give a shit about is threatened. Even though you're the dean and you're supposed to give a shit about all these students. Like, they're all supposed to be your charges. It has to be someone close to you before you'll start giving a fuck. So let me set that up for you without actually hurting anyone except the child's expectations to meet a band.
Allow me to put this in a light which you can see it in, which is your daughter. And now you tell me if this sinks in better.
Bless Cassie for being out there and doing the fucking work. She's out there changing hearts and minds like one horrible mental manipulation at a time.
Directly after the encounter with the dean, she's having like a mental breakdown in her car after the
We've all been there.
And then this dude pulls up and starts talking shit to her, and she gets out with a tire iron and just smashes his shit.
How has she not gone to prison yet?
And here's
between the kidnapping last scene and this, like, these are crimes.
She didn't kidnap those. Even the little girl's going to tell you if she got into that car willingly.
Yeah, I'm not going to meet the band.
There's got to be a crime there. That's false pretenses. Like, I just think it's amazing she stayed out of prison.
This is the movie world, bro.
At that point, I was very majorly in love with Cassie, and I was wondering, like, I wonder where Ryan thinks she is, because, like, there's been no contact between these two for quite a few days.
Since that first date.
Yeah.
Since that
And
first
sure
date,
enough,
she spiraled because of what he told her.
Cecilia, as if your thoughts summoned him.
They did.
Yeah.
Like, because I was thinking, like, when she's doing all this shit, I'm like, I wonder what Ryan thinks is going on. And then Ryan shows up at...
He's like, let me tell you what I think's going on.
After the whole thing with Ryan blows up, she goes to see Mr. Green, who was the lawyer who helped get Al and the boys off for the rape.
Do you think it's coincidence he's named after a Clue character?
Mr. Green.
Yeah, Mr. Clean in the conservatory with the lead pipe. Like, yeah. Anyway,
I think that this scene actually shows the first time that Cassidy is thrown off in her Cassie is thrown off in her planning.
Yeah,
because she went in there with a plan, and then
she went to reform him, and he was quote unquote already reformed.
Well, it's not
like,
even
I
that
already
he
feel
knew that
horrible.
he did wrong.
Yeah, he was fucked up.
Living with
Yeah.
the guilt. He's like,
About
I know
like-
that. He's like, you think your case is
He
the only one I have to live with?
popped her name off like that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry I don't remember her last name. Here's the thing. I know this guy is a bad guy, but when he said I'm so sorry I don't remember her last name, my heart kind of melt. It's probably because I love the actor. But I was just like, oh.
The heart, yeah. When he breaks down, they're like crying together,
Yeah.
and she says that she forgives him. I was like, this did not go the way that
Yeah.
I think any of us were expecting it to.
No.
Now, what did you think about post her leaving the office?
With that guy?
I
With the dude
do you
who...
think that was a hitman?
Yes.
Okay,
do. I thought that was a
I
hitman.
wholeheartedly thought that was a guy that she was going to have come in, like, make it look like a robbery gone wrong.
I think that's the difference between the black mark and the tally marks. Like, I think some of these people are not making it out of this. Like, I think if you show a continued lack of repentance, like when she says no, shows you she's not drunk and starts, like, getting in your face, if you're still pressing on, I think you're in a shallow grave outside Jersey somewhere. Like,
maybe. She seems very well
just from that,
informed.
just because of that scene with the lawyer.
Yeah.
And it would explain why she can't afford her own apartment. Hitmen are not cheap.
Hitmen are not cheap.
Now, that was a very intense emotional scene in terms of, like, all right, character development. People can, live with these regrets and have it haunt them forever, but understand that I fucked up and I can't change what I fucked up.
Yeah.
But he knew that that was going to come one day. That she
I don't
was
think
going.
that he does, though.
No. I think the professor knew that one day something would catch up to him. Not in this particular way. He didn't.
I think they talk about it. I think she says something like, "Did you know I was coming?" And she's like, "Do you know how I found you?" He was like, "Well, I made it easy. I told when I left school or lawyering.
Yeah.
I told her to tell people where I was." So I think there was a part of him that was like was expecting someone to show up.
But
on
I don't
store.
think I don't think he knew that when he was doing it.
No. This came later.
This was clarity he had post being a lawyer.
Yeah.
Like post, when he realized that he was working
After
for
he
wrong
made his
people.
money.
Yeah, when he realized he was making money for all the wrong reasons, like he has some type of life epiphany.
Yeah.
And that's why he was so easy to be like, I fucked up.
But you're right. You're right, Cecilia. It's the first time we see Cassie. I wrote scared, but it's more put off her game.
Yeah, I don't think she was scared at any point, but I do think because she went in there.
Well, she gets a little scared because he does get in her face for a second.
Yeah,
where he's just like, "I know what I did," and at that point, she is a little like at least taken aback because he's so passionate about his quest for forgiveness. Yeah.
No, but I do think she went in there imagining how this conversation was going to go. And then instead, she finds someone who's already destroyed. Like, she can't destroy him.
Can't knock someone down who's already down.
Yeah, he's already there.
Yeah.
And I think that threw her off her game. And then I do think that was a hitman. I have no evidence of that, but I do not think that she brought him along just for shits and giggles. If not a hitman, he was going to beat that guy's ass. Like, he was there for a fucking reason.
A little movie note. I don't know if either of you noticed, but in Dr. Green, in Green's house, there's a bay window behind him, and there's like a table with a vase on it, dead flowers in the vase. And I'm like, well, that, like flowers, of course, like, people talk about deflowering women, like, it also shows something that you're supposed to care for, that's beautiful, that you've left to die. I don't know. For me, those flowers touched a lot of like metaphor and simile places there.
That's a good catch. I didn't catch that.
There was other things that I saw similarities for, but that was one scene
We're talking about symbolism though. So after the thing with Dr. Green, Mr. Green, whatever, she goes to.
You wanted to say Doc Ock, didn't you?
Yeah, Doc.
I
did the same thing.
You wanted to say Doc
I said
Ock.
Doc Green, and I think it's because I was thinking of Doc Ock.
So after that though, she goes to Nina's mom's.
Yeah, this scene was
that was fucking
another
heartbreaking.
powerful scene.
And Nina's mom asks why she's there, and they do this whole like very sweet memory lane type of situation, which was just.
Do you remember when you and Nina did this and that? And
Yeah.
You guys used to love, you girls, just loved each other so much. I was like, oh, the heartstrings.
But she talks about Nina not being able to move on, and I think it's really interesting because the way that I think Nina's trauma seems to manifest outside of this spiral she's going down, hunting down the people who.
You mean Cassie?
Cassie,
Yeah,
sorry.
okay.
Cassie's spiral outside of this stuff is the way you see her. She's always counting. And her nails are always done the exact same way. Mm-hmm. She's got this particular loop that she's hooked on, and she's always eating candy like Twizzlers and shit. Like she's got this she's really stuck.
Yeah.
In this bit.
Yeah.
Where she's trying to like find vengeance.
And Nina's mom sees that because I think there's a little bit of selfishness because. I think Nina's mom's kind of like every time you come here, it sort of reopens old wounds. Like, I love you like the daughter I didn't have, but you got to stop doing this. But not just for me. Like, it's not purely selfish. It's also for you. I see how you have been. This is arrested development. Like you're stuck in this time and place.
Yes.
And I've had to. I needed to move on, and I did, and you need to move on. And it hurts me to say that because it was my daughter. I loved her very much, but...
Correct me if I'm wrong, but at the end of all that, didn't she say, I hope not to see you again? Like, here, it was...
She might have.
She implied something that she didn't want to see her coming back like she had been, or she didn't want to see that version of her coming back because of
she might have,
what she had been going through.
In all honesty, she might not have wanted to see Cassie. Because I do think, to a certain extent, Cassie and Nina were like a duo.
Yeah.
And to see one without the other
would hurt.
Hard.
Yeah.
And, like, if this person was... And she was, like, Cassie was Nina's companion.
Yeah.
And I also do think part of it was, though, that, like, there's... Cassie's carrying guilt that Cassie has no business carrying. It's not Cassie's fault that Nina got raped. Yeah. It's fucking Al's fault.
It's a type of survivor's guilt, though, is it not?
It does.
It's you were there in the same building,
or
and
even
you couldn't prevent.
Or you were supposed to. Yeah, she was supposed to go to the party too, but didn't. Yeah.
It's just I was just like, I mean, that's like if someone that you're in the same building with gets shot, but not you, and you were good friends with, like, you're like, well, why wasn't that me?
Yeah.
And the same thing is like, well, why didn't I go to the party? I could have protected.
Yeah.
It's this type of...
And you get survivor's guilt with strangers. So survivor's guilt with someone who was your best friend, like, that's got to be a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, after that, Cassie actually takes her advice, though. Like, she takes Nina's mom.
She decides to try and move on.
She does.
And live a happy life and focus on this relationship.
Yeah, Ryan, she goes to Ryan's work.
Yeah.
At this point. And she apologizes.
He says, it's like, yeah, but it was a dude in a fedora. I think that's unforgivable. that was a good line by him.
No,
this is the sweet time that she visits him at work.
Yeah.
This is the very nice, hey, I'm sorry, let's try and make a relationship happen. Let's move forward. I can't really explain to you what was going on that night, but I promise you nothing lascivious was happening. It was just a bad timing.
Somehow, in this movie, we then get a love montage.
We do!
A dating montage.
Really weird happy spot in
Didn't
this
see
movie.
that coming.
Paris Hilton's sing-along thing that they did in the drugstore was cute and unexpected.
So cute.
And this is like a montage of over like the course of, I believe, a month?
Something like that. It's a little bit of time.
Yeah, it's at least like a month or so of dating.
Yeah.
To the point where she's comfortable with having him come around.
Meet the parents.
Yeah.
Now you know it's getting serious.
Yeah.
Meeting the folks.
And, like, actually coming over to her house and making,
This, because right after this is when they have dinner with her parents.
Yep.
That's the next scene. And this is where I wrote, her mom really can't not make little comments all of the time at Cassie's expense. Like, every time her mom speaks, it is something degrading to Cassie.
Yeah.
It's fucking irritating.
And another thing where Ryan, and not that I'm here to forgive Ryan, but it's harder in a situation where you're meeting the folks for the first time. But he should have stepped up for Cassie a little bit there.
The mom's insulting her weight.
Yeah,
like,
he should have stepped up a little
bro,
there.
What's wrong with her fucking weight? She's beautiful.
But I will say this, Cassie, and I took a perverse pleasure, and I think there is a perverse pleasure in unleashing your parents on a lover. Like, bringing them and be like, because you know they're going to be the center of attention. Like, you bring them and you're like, deal with it. I'm just going to sit, because you see a lot of scenes of Cassie kind of sitting back with her arms crossed, just watching Bo trying to handle her parents. Like, he tries to tell jokes that don't land. He tries to talk about, like, the difference between being an adult doctor and a child doctor. Like, and she's just big grin on her face, just watching him have to deal with her parents for once. And I'm like, yeah, there's a... Everyone loves unleashing their parents on somebody.
That you get from it. There's some type of twisted catharsis you get by living vicariously through this. Like, oh, this is what you get to watch. You know, this is the outside.
This is what is happening to someone else.
Yeah,
isn't it? Like, yeah.
And
so this is all nice, and despite the terrible fucking dinner that I feel like everyone has to experience at least once in their life, with their
you see them in bed afterwards, which means that
they finally consummated.
Yeah, or they had been for a while. You don't know. I don't know if that was their first time or not, but it means that sometime.
Well, with her taking it as slow as she has, I feel like that it kind of
she got over that. Pardon the pun. She got over that hump, and now they're.
Well, I think part of her, because she's very adverse to physical affection, and I think at least some of that is one, her unhandled trauma from Nina's rape, and two, the fact that every time that she feels affection, physical affection in the movie up until this point, is her marks.
Yeah.
So she associates that affection with people who are going to take advantage of her.
Yeah.
Because he tries to kiss her at one, like on their first date, and she's like, "No, you can't be touched." Like, she's straight up just shuts that shit down.
And Ryan, still playing the role of the good guy, is like, "Okay, I'm sorry. I feel like I overstepped a line there." Like, you know, quote unquote, doing all the right things. Like,
most nice guys in the real world wouldn't have done that. This is like, the fuck's wrong with you? Yeah. They wouldn't have doubled... I tried to kiss you. Back. What?
Am I not good looking? Like, God, you're not that good looking yourself, you know? You're 30.
He
Do you really think,
I guess I misread that. That is on me.
Yeah.
That is 100% my
Again,
fault.
he is playing the role.
I thought something was happening here. I apologize for the misread.
I will say this. He does the same I would hook up with your mom joke that I used to do, and I was like, man, I thought I invented that. I would, because
that joke is old as time.
Yeah,
Here's to you, Mrs. Robinson.
I know. Now I'm sad, but I was just like, oh, that's what I used to do to get over that awkward right after meeting the parents' dinner, where you're talking about it afterwards, and like you're trying to not say, I think your parents are monsters. So instead, you're like, yeah, your mom's pretty hot. I'd hit that. Like, not obviously. We would break up first. I don't want to make it weird. Like, you joke your way through it so you don't have to explain, I think your mom is destroying you. And I think your father is an overbearing prick. Like, instead of saying that, you make jokes. And I'm like,
honestly, the dinner, I was like, Cassie needs to move out. This was the first time I was like, Cassie really needs to move out. Like, this is not a healthy situation.
Yes.
But then... like a house of cards built on a very shaky, earthquake-ridden foundation.
I have a question before this house comes tumbling down.
Riddle me this.
Do you guys know what reoccurring trope I'm about to talk about? Why is it that everything bad happens after the sex? In most movies...
because that's how life is?
Why is
or
it
do you guys have better sex lives to be?
I mean, potentially. But most movies like this, the reoccurring trope is that, it's all hoity-toity. Now we had sex and everything starts crumbling. Continue.
Yeah.
That is a horror movie trope.
Yes, it is.
Alright, so after after the sex, the cards come tumbling down, and Madison shows up.
Because she's been trying to call.
Madison shows up looking like she done lost her goddamn mind.
She looks a wreck.
She is fucked up. Bags under the eyes,
hair's little frizz.
Everything.
She's wearing an old lady sweater? Like...
Yeah.
Not feeling real secure about her body right now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. All worried about whether or not she had
consensual or non-consensual sex with this guy.
What happened with that dude that you knew that came up to the she was fucked.
I do not remember a thing that happened. I just remember waking up half naked in my hotel bed.
Yeah. And then Cassie clarifies that nothing happened. Yeah. It was just
crazy how easy and quick those things can happen, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, out of nowhere, apropos of nothing. It's weird how quick that stuff could happen.
And Madison goes inside with Cassie.
Into a very pink room.
A very pink room.
I assume that is a directorial choice as well, but man, that room was pink.
Yeah.
I just thought the mother couldn't decorate, to be honest. But,
I mean, come on, pink, the color of the womb. I assume there's something there, but...
I mean, there probably was, but I just assumed the mother couldn't decorate.
It's a certain
A lot of symbolism goes over my head because of shit like that, where they'll do something that's very intentional. It's like, it's a weird choice. Bad taste. Don't understand it.
And I feel like it's apropos for Jennifer Coolidge's kind of character archetype. Like, would you not expect that?
I've only seen Jennifer Coolidge in, like...
Legally Blonde? Then yes, you should say yes.
Well, I have seen her in Legally Blonde, and she was also in The Secret Life of the American Teenager. But at any rate, Madison talks about how they all used to laugh at the tape that exists of
and this
Nina's
is where
rape.
Any pity that I might have had for Madison is gone. I found out that she wasn't in any way sexually molested, and they had a tape.
So she knew it happened.
Madison, you are 100% over by fucking naughty list now. Like I was like, on the fence. You were a bad person. Now you're a fucking horrible person.
You are a monster.
You are a monster.
Yeah.
Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. They watch the tape.
Yeah, and they watch the tape.
It's all revealing, and it's very unsettling.
Before they watch the tape, there is that really amazing scene of her. Madison walks out, and she's like, "Don't fucking contact me again."
Yeah,
I'm like, fair enough.
Well, first she apologizes for not believing Nina, and then she says, "Don't ever contact me again."
Yeah.
I don't think she wanted to.
I don't like learning life lessons, thank you. Ones that make me look bad, especially. So Cassie, there is a very powerful scene. There's no music, pink room, Cassie sitting there, and the phone just sitting there like an albatross on the table. And you see the wheels turning with Cassie. Because Madison's like, you shouldn't watch that.
Yeah.
But Madison also left it with her, so I kind of feel it was a bit of a Pandora's box. Where Madison's like, yeah, you fucked me up. Here's your fuck up back.
My question.
I'm delivering that back to you.
I don't know about you guys, but I've gone through a good amount of phones over the years. Mm-hmm. I have not kept any of my old phones after they've been, useless. Let's say this took place almost 18 or 15 years after the rape. Mm-hmm. Why does Madison still have a phone from 15 years ago that still has a sex tape on it, still fully functioning and charges?
She doesn't trust the cloud.
Also,
that's the only reason I can think of.
I was just confused because,
I feel like Madison is the type of character, though, that would keep her shit.
Yeah. It feels like a blackmail, though. Like, it felt like she had it for that.
It could just be a click all. Like, all move,
maybe
right without even thinking.
Maybe I was thinking too deep into it.
I do have my old phones. So, and if they're still in good shape, I give them to my kids. So, they do...
Take those videos off first. Ago?
I don't know that I think anything from 15 years ago would work. But it is... She needed something, I suppose.
Because they're all in their 30s, or not 30s. They're all 30s, so this is maybe not 15 years ago. But this all happened at least 10 years prior.
Well, at least one person does it. If Cecilia does it and Madison does it, I assume it's a trope. Some people do it. You don't do it. I
have one old phone, but that's from a couple years ago. Before I replaced it with this one.
I did it in the old days, but as soon as the cloud existed, I moved everything off the cloud and got rid of all my old phones. But yeah, for a while I did.
Eric had a lot of his old phones actually until I got in the house and started getting rid of everything like I do. Because
you women always do.
They have those eco ATM thingies where you can turn in your phones for $5 or whatever. So we did that, but Eric did have quite a few of his old phones.
Yeah. All right.
Hoarding issue. Anyways, back to the plot.
Cecilia, what happened? What was on that tape?
So on that tape is video evidence of Nina's rape.
Mm-hmm.
And
not just by Al,
a cast of characters,
and a whole group of people who were there,
either participating
to
or watching.
Yeah. And Ryan,
one of the Watchers, who watches the Watchers, the Watchmen.
Here's the thing.
In this case, it's fucking Ryan,
and he was laughing. And when they're like, Ryan, get in here, Ryan.
He's like, no.
And he's just sitting there laughing, drinking, and watching her get fucked.
He does not. Yeah, he quote once again when we're talking extremely low bars.
Oh,
yeah.
So there was a point where Madison was saying that she thought that maybe they had imagined. She had imagined that tape existed. And my instinctual reaction was, imagined my ass, Madison.
Yeah.
Madison just did not want to deal with
she needed a cover story for why she didn't bring that forward years ago. So she had to be like, oh, I almost imagined it. There were so many of those kinds of videos going around back in the day, blah, blah, blah.
So, after she figures out that Ryan's on the tape, she absolutely loses her shit.
Oh,
and,
justifiably so.
Oh, justifiably so. But here's the thing. The thing that killed me, personally, is that she was moving on.
Yeah.
And to be going from a place of trying to heal. Because healing isn't linear anyway. You're going to have your dips and your ebbs. But to go from a place of actively trying to heal to being hit all the way back.
Yeah,
it was
heartbreaking.
So heartbreaking. I was so upset.
Like, Ryan, why couldn't you just be a good guy? All you had to do was not, much like Cassie, not show up that night. All you had to do was not be there. Not be in this goddamn video.
Not only did she get knocked back to the beginning, she got knocked back even further because there was more trauma added to it. To the fact, the vulnerability that she just gave up to.
Yeah, it's true. Man. You're behind the starting line.
Yeah, like you're in the negative balance of your recuperation. Yeah. Because now, this guy that you finally let your guard down and kind of like shed some of your layers of trauma, took advantage of that vulnerability, knowing damn well that he was there. He knew.
As Wine and Crime says, never meet a man. Never meet a man.
And he knew the entire time that he was seeking out Cassie, trying to get to know her, trying to date her, trying to fall in love with her. He knew that he had been there. He had known all this information, and he withheld it.
Wait, during the confrontation, does he not make the connection then? Where he's like, oh, you're Nina's friend? Or did he already...
No, he knew that she was Nina's friend. The first time that he came in, he's like, yeah, because you and the other girl used to hang out with Madison.
Yep.
Okay. The other girl in that was Nina.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, I'm caught up.
So he willfully, ignorantly leaves out the part where like, oh yeah, I knew who Nina was.
Yeah, I get it now.
Didn't just...
Well, when he said that other friend, I didn't realize that other friend. I should have, but I didn't.
Here, some symbolism I did catch is that all of her necklaces and jewelry, when she goes to confront Ryan after her little breakdown about seeing him on the tape, is all of her necklaces and jewelry are halves of like friendship bracelets and necklaces and stuff. Of Nina's.
Gotcha.
She's got a necklace that half of it says Nina on it, and all of her necklaces are like little friendship trinkets that girls exchange. That is all of her jewelry in that scene when she goes to confront Ryan.
Yeah, I realized the one because it comes into play later, but I did not realize that she had a whole ensemble.
Yeah, she had all of her necklaces and jewelry are friendship halves.
So Cecilia, take us there. How does Ryan react to this? Pretty well?
Nina, Cassie has a nice little breakdown by a tree, and then she goes to confront Ryan about what she saw on the tape.
Yep. She's like, fuck all these goddamn kids in this pediatrician's office. I'm gonna fucking let them know.
Yeah. She's like, do you think that they would like to know what kind of person gives them care? Because I think they might like to know what kind of person gives them care. And I have never felt less pity than I felt for Ryan in this situation, because he is like trying so hard to nice guy his way out of this.
Until he doesn't.
With lots of eye rolls and innocent, different time.
And it's a knee-jerk reaction of fear, because she's like,
didn't participate.
Oh, I'm gonna send this to everybody in your contact list. I'm gonna send this to the parents of your patients.
Send it to your boss.
I'm gonna ruin you, bro.
Yeah, unless ...
Yeah, you tell me where Al's having his bachelor party this weekend.
And so, out of fear, what's he do?
Well, first of all, what he does is once again, and honestly, my respect for him is on a fucking like downward spiral. But this
it's
is
like drop zone.
Yeah, it's the drop zone. But at this point, it's where it hit rock bottom. He still tries to protect fucking Al. He's like, "Why do you want to know? Why? Well, what are you gonna do?" Like, I'm like, you fucker! Like, you fucking let this guy have his medicine Stop, Ryan. Stop trying to protect this motherfucker. He's not one of the good ones. He's not a good guy like Ryan.
And you know he's not. He knew Al wasn't a good guy when you mentioned him the first time.
Give that location. Offer to drive her. Like, God damn it, Ryan.
Yeah, you wanna redeem yourself, bud? You wanna redeem? You help her in this plot. Yeah. Don't sit there and insult her and then top it up by calling her like, yeah, that's why you're a fucking failure.
Yep.
Yeah, no, Ryan...
When he called her a failure and basically was like, that's why your parents think you're a fucking loser. Like, bro, you are not the nice guy. You were just the epitome
Quit
of
while
trash.
You're behind, man.
Like, you're never getting back in any good graces.
Shut the fuck up. Oh my God.
But to add the failure jab on top of that, like, bro, she lives with that as it is from her fucking parents.
Well, exactly. He knows where to hit.
Yeah.
They've been dating. I know your weak points.
And you really aren't sorry.
You made me feel
that low.
You made me feel bad. I'm gonna make you feel bad because that's how we handle things in second grade.
And the only millisliver I'll give him credit for is like she said, "You better not let them know I'm coming."
Yeah,
and he doesn't. No one knew. Yeah. I will say that when she finally showed
Ryan,
up,
you know what Ryan is good at? Not speaking up. Yeah, he can keep his damn mouth shut. He knows crimes are happening. I'm not gonna say nothing. Anyways,
I love this beautiful ending montage. Please.
Well, first we have to do the thing. Yeah, Cecilia.
Okay, so
superhero transformation.
Yes, we get our superhero transformation. Here's the thing: that cotton candy wig, that was a thing of beauty. That was a thing of beauty.
I really like the Britney Spears Poison cover.
Oh yeah, no, I want that violin of Toxic. I want that bitch played at my funeral.
Yeah, Toxic, not Poison. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that was so beautiful.
Also, let me just say, and again, might be reading too much into this, but the fact that she's dressed as a nurse.
Yeah.
She went to school to be a doctor. There's the old joke about, I can't operate on this person. He's my son. How did that work? Oh, the doctor was a woman. Can you believe it? Like, I feel like there's a lot of connection there that she dressed as a nurse.
It is.
Very fitting. Anyway.
So she dresses as a nurse. She walks up to the cabin in the middle of nowhere where Al is having his bachelor party. To Toxic on a violin.
So nice.
So good.
Yep.
Again, the music in this was beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And
I cried at Angel of the Morning, but we'll get there.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
But then she's dressed up as a nurse, and she's saying that she's a stripper for the bachelor party. None of the dudes will own up to being the one that hired her, but they all are more than willing to take drinks.
It's a stripper!
It's a
bachelor party!
Yeah. She plays really hard into that.
Yeah.
And she's really brilliant, though. Before she goes inside, she puts the keys in the car. Like, she throws the license plate off.
Yep.
She is fucking methodical.
Yeah. Well, we've seen that through the whole movie.
Respect in the world for Cassie.
Cassie's she's clever. Clever
I
as
also
hell.
wanted to mention when she was getting ready, the little doctor's bag that she brought that actually has surgical instruments and
handcuffs.
Drugs in them.
Yeah.
Don't forget the handcuffs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the handcuffs are for, like, after you drug them.
Yeah.
And which she did very subtly. She was going around drugging dudes left and right in that party.
She drugged the whole party.
I was like, oh, this is just like college when guys go around and fucking drug the fucking girls.
Yeah, she roofied the party.
She roofied the party.
I was like, tit for tat, playing your own game.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where, like, it's not cool in the sense of what it leans towards, you know, especially in college settings where it's a reoccurring trope, reoccurring thing that we hear about on news articles all the time, and it's very infuriating, just like the whole thing where the dean doesn't believe that a student was raped.
Yep.
Because she gets these kind of complaints all the time. You think I have to take this one seriously? It's the same thing. Guys drug girls at parties all the fucking time. And so to see it in this movie, at the very end, in her final diabolical plan, it's like, I'm just doing what you do to us all the time.
Yeah. Here's the thing. In real life, non-consensual drugging is a crime, and it's bad, and you shouldn't do it to people.
I think it's okay if you're just robbing them, though.
Well, and in this instance, all of these people...
Okay, Cardi B.
All of these people
Cardi B taught me
are
that.
people who were involved with Nina's situation. And all she does is drug them and leave them passed out downstairs so that she can take Al upstairs and carve Nina's name into his skin.
Get that handcuff confession that we all dream of. Here's the handcuff confession.
That whole speech, she gives this beautiful speech about how Nina's name hasn't been said. Mm-hmm. And how no one remembers Nina. And how horrible it has been, how horrible it was for Nina afterwards, because Nina was just this force, and she was just this person with all this life and this spirit.
This part was sweet for me because it let me get a feel for Nina. Up to this point had kind of just been a name.
Yeah.
And Nina only existed as connected to Cassie, and it was nice to finally get Nina as as something separate from Cassie. Like,
she was a personaless face.
Yeah, but then she got like this scene. And then also I like it where she talks about, you know what every guy's worst nightmare is versus you know what every girl's worst nightmare is? Like, chef's kiss.
Yeah. No, that whole thing was beautiful. And then she ends it by saying, so I think people should see Nina's name. I think Nina's name should be on you. Yeah. And so she brings out a very nice, and Al sitting there begging and crying and being pathetic. Mm-hmm. Was not enough. I wanted her to get at least one Nina carved into this motherfucker's skin.
Yeah.
But then...
This is what... The movie took quite a turn here.
Yes.
You kind of think it's going one way, and then it goes another way, but then it goes back where it's supposed to. But...
Yeah. So at this point, Al manages to get a pillow on her face and smothers Cassie to death.
Yeah. Long after he could have just subdued her.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And that actually really liked the fact that it took a long time for Cassie to die.
Oh yeah, that
scene was harsh. As opposed to a lot of movies when you get like a death scene, like a smothering scene takes like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
He was on top of her for minutes.
Yeah.
In this movie, like you said, way past the point where he could have gotten off and her just be passed out. Yeah. He murdered her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then he's tied to the bed with her all night.
Oh. And by the morning, her foot is a little gray, and you just imagine what it was like for him to just lie next to her all night. I kind of thought he was going to learn something, but I'm an idiot. So.
Then we get Schmidt. Schmidt wakes up, and he's like, hey, bro, did you
Schmidt is an enabler. Joe is a problem.
The you did nothing wrong, bro, of which
again,
you got to have for these movies.
Very, very homoerotically. He's all up in his face,
buddy,
caressing him.
We're going to take care of this.
Yeah.
I'm going to lose my love of my life. I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose everything. Like, no, bro, we got this. We got this. He's just stroking his hair.
The line that hit me the most was, we all saw her go home.
Yep.
Which means that every person at that bachelor's party
would have lied for him.
Is going to lie for him. Absolutely. Yeah.
So they burn
Why is
her
the
body.
movie still going at this point?
They
Cecilia?
burn her body. Here's the thing. Like I told y'all earlier, at this point I was mad.
Yep. I was
sitting in my chair watching this movie, actively stewing. Like,
I was
so pissed.
I was like, I get enough of this in real life. I don't need unhappy endings in my movie.
I was like, this is how they're just going to get away with this?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing?
I was like, why do we need a movie where the rich fucking preppy white guys can get away with multiple murders and rapes?
Finally. A movie that reflects the reality I live in.
Like Brock Turner didn't just happen a couple years. I was actively angry. And the movie is still going. And I'm like, why am I still doing this?
Yeah.
The police come in. The missing persons report gets filed by her parents.
Yep.
The police go question Ryan. Ryan is asked if she thinks she'd hurt herself, and he says yes, like a fucking liar.
He grabs onto it like a drowning man reaching for a life raft.
Piece of shit, even in her
like
death.
A lifesaver. Yeah, yep, absolutely. Yep. That's what happened.
We broke up just the other day. Don't know what happened to her.
You know
Don't know why she would.
You know what makes women unreasonable and suicidal? Losing a guy like me.
I swear, I am actively, but this whole bit, I am actively stewing. I am actively angry with nowhere to go with it.
Yep. Yes.
And then the wedding happens. And then they say I do. And then there's dancing. And then Joe talks to Ryan about this hot chick that he's in the Cirque du Soleil so she can, what was it, blow him and something else, like the chick...
Blow him and lick her own asshole?
Something like
something
that.
Horribly
something
crass.
Gross and nasty.
Something Goreshipian.
Hey! I will not allow my name to be used for some bullshit.
I'm sorry. What are those words coming out of your DSLs? Let me hear them again.
Throwback.
We kid because we love Goreship.
At any rate, I am still actively angry, and then the police sirens happen?
Well, it all starts with
Ryan gets text first, right?
No, envelope. Joe's handed an envelope. There's an envelope in his jacket.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You guys not remember that part?
No.
Okay, hold on. Let me read it back. Alright.
This might have been from that other movie you watched.
No, shut the fuck up.
Because I thought...
Alright, so...
give us order of operations and we'll tell you if you're right.
Seriously. Dr. Green, sorry, I got that mixed up. Green received the envelope.
Honestly,
from
Cassie giving him a shot at redemption kind of made my heart sing. Like, this is his chance. And as you can tell from the sirens, he jumps on it.
So, when she gives the envelope to Dr. Green, in case of her disappearance, that's when we cut to the happy wedding and then getting drunk and like, oh, it's going to be fun tonight. And then all of a sudden, sirens. Whoop, whoop.
And Ryan starts getting text.
Yeah. You're right.
Ghost text.
Yeah.
Ghost text.
Again, planned, very Riddler-esque. Planned down to the minute.
And then a mass video goes out of Al raping Nina to every single person in attendance phone. I'm not talking just the people that were at the college with him. We're talking the mom and dad get it and they're looking at it with their glasses. The aunts and uncles are like...
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I love the fact that, I don't know how she did it, but the mass ghost text, the ghost text, I don't know how that happens.
You can set text to go in, like, just like you can set, like, until somebody breaks Twitter, you can set tweets to post in the future. You can do the same with text.
I didn't know about the text. It was about tweets. I didn't know about that.
It's a life hack you can look into if you ever want to do something after your day.
It was so fucking funny.
The immediate relief when the police sirens start, and then Ryan
the board and starts playing. My eyes were getting wet.
Ryan starts getting the text messages, the videos start.
You didn't think this was the end, did you?
Yeah.
Now it's the end.
Enjoy the wedding.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Everyone there is so confused. Police just swarm the fucking wedding. They arrest Al. They arrest fucking his best friend.
No, his best friend did
Joe
the run.
Yeah.
You see him getting yanked out later. But I love how he's like loyal up to a point, but then gone.
Yeah, the police. We just burned a body. And we leaving this bitch.
Yeah, I know. And I wrote, I know it's a bunch of rich white guys, but come on, cops, use your guns. You know you want to. You know you want to. Whip out them guns, boys. Oh.
And these last little tidbits of detail I didn't really notice because I was just caught up in the emotion of the movie.
Yeah.
And it was these little bit of things.
Okay.
So, police arrive. They're looking at the area where the fucking bachelor party had just happened. Mm-hmm. Her body is still fresh, like charred.
Yeah.
They find
the dogs find it,
and they find her necklace, which has the Nina hat.
The other half of where?
To Gail, her best friend from the diner.
Gail's her name. There you go.
Yeah.
From the diner. And you're right. Joe was trying to sneak away. And he's just like slowly. He does the Homer Simpson. Where he kind of just slowly fades into that.
Yeah.
And Ryan, this whole time, is just reading the messages. And he's just like, all right. Oh fuck. Yeah, and with that said, love Cassie and Nina. Winky face. So she knew she was gonna die. Is what I.
She at least planned.
She could cancel that if she lived, but she had a contingency for if she didn't.
And unfortunately, they went with the ending of her contingency plan. I would have liked to see the ending where her plan went off without a hitch.
Well, I like this because of the bait and switch. I'm a sucker for a good bait and switch. I was like.
But the anger I felt.
Oh my god, I was so mad.
But I thought I knew where it was going. I thought she was going to pull it off without a hitch, and then it went the totally other way. And then I was like, "Why is the movie still going?" Like that last 15 minutes was the emotional roller coaster that I watch movies for. Honestly, like I love that shit. So for me, it was Chef's Kiss perfect. But I can't understand wanting her to live because Cassie. Good gal. Good lady. She's a good lady.
And we end the fucking arrest montage with Just call me Angel in the morning, baby.
Just touch my hand before you leave. Oh, God.
Which is appropriate just because it's such an upbeat, like revitalizing. Like,
and she wasn't an avenging angel.
Happy.
Like she was the god. She fucking had the flaming sword going down and smiting fools.
Yes.
Yeah, it worked on all the levels.
Again, it was just... like I said, the immediate relief. I was so mad. I was so
understood. Very fair.
I was ready to burn the village down, and then it turns around, and I'm just like,
I was still upset that she had to die at the end.
I didn't want her to die.
Yeah.
But then I also thought about, okay, if she lived through all this, where does she go from now? She's still stuck in her trauma.
I don't think her life could have had another upbeat after that. I think Ryan ruined that for her.
Yeah.
Like,
and even if she did live past all this shit, the consequences of post, her revenge.
Oh yeah, no, she fucked up.
She's still gonna get arrested. She's still gonna have charges brought against her because they're rich people. They're rich fucking assholes who would have been able to be like, oh, she just fucking assaulted and scarred me and drugged all these men.
Right. Like, otherwise, it wouldn't have been vigilante justice. It would have just been quote unquote justice. She'd done it worked within the law. Nothing ever would have happened because the law does not work to help cases like this.
Initially, yes, I was very angry, but then when I had enough time to calm down and think about, like, well, the alternative, if she would have lived, probably would have been worse for her anyways.
Yeah. In
terms of, like, she would have been having to deal with all the lawsuits and legalities and these rich assholes ruining her in the fucking public eye and probably locking her up.
For the sake of this movie,
even more depressive
I'm going to believe in heaven and believe that Cassie and Nina are now reunited, living it up.
Somewhere over the Rainbow Bridge together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Actually, they deserve dog heaven. Much better than people heaven. I would much fuck some people heaven. They deserve to see my little blind dog and like fucking roll her around on clouds or whatever you do in doggy.
Yeah, I would prefer that they go where all the beautiful
dogs and cats hang out. Yeah. All right, friends. So that was Promising Young Woman. Does anybody have any final comments before we go out? I just wanted to give Cecilia a special thank you for joining us. Sorry for keeping you for 2 hours, but powerful movie, had a lot to say about it.
It was a good movie.
Yeah. Thank you for the pick. I am glad that this is the one that you chose. There's a more accumulating amount of women-led horror movies, both in acting and writing perspectives. So you picked a more recent one that is actually very on the nail for stuff that we all feel passionately about in real life.
Yeah.
So I think you did a fucking phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Your view on it was exactly what I wanted to hear, because things that I thought about, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to understand this. You got the nail on that one, because I didn't perceive it the same way. Little attention to the details about the friendship stuff and the way that having to be a woman going out in the world, over my head. I'm never going to fucking know that. I'm never going to know that. And so it was nice to have this little bit of clarity from the female perspective of what this thriller horror movie was. Because like I said, originally it was billed as a horror thriller, and there's supposed to be more slasher murder to it. She was supposed to be a killer.
We're letting it in on a technicality. It was a horror movie originally, and it still has some horrible horror aspects to it.
It did. It has real life horror. Not magical monstrosities and slasher fic, but the horror that you experience every single day being a young woman in this world, being a woman of any race or age.
I do think it's an interesting like a negative of the way that they couldn't do anything about the charges. The dean says they couldn't do anything about the charges because that man had a promising life in the future.
Right.
But Nina would have had a promising life.
Yeah.
She was top of her class. She was going to be like the doctor of the doctors.
Well, even if she was going to be a subpar doctor, it still counts.
Yeah.
Promising life. Even if she was going to drop out and work at a coffee house, you don't get to decide what qualifies as a promising life. You don't get to decide what qualifies as a life that has value.
Yes.
And you don't get to pick whose life has value over someone else's. Like, someone got raped, someone needs to fucking pay.
There are consequences.
Exactly.
There should be consequences. There should be consequences. And honestly, Nina's rape and the tragedy that occurred from that ruined Nina's life and, by extension, ruined Cassie's life.
Yeah.
But the Promising Young Woman part, I thought was a really cool title, too. It does sort of pull together all these little threads.
And I'm kind of glad they didn't say it in the movie. They never actually said Promising Young Woman. It's
They teased it.
They did tease it. Yeah, they did almost say
he has a promising career.
Yeah.
Promising
well, that was the thing. They said promising man's career all the time. Like, all the guys had promise. Yeah. This was a weird situation where a woman actually had a chance to have a promising life. You just... Apparently the dean doesn't see that too often. Ugh.
It was a good movie.
Yes. Happy International Women's Day. Don't say we never did anything for you. I'm sorry, I can't keep it serious. I'm whistling by the graveyard. This movie was both wonderful and tragic in equal measure. So, thanks for that, I guess.
You're very welcome. I like to sugar and salt.
I think this one's actually going to come out after the menu. So, menu's not what's next, menu's what came before. And I've actually got to talk with Goreship off stream about what comes next in the next for next month, because I'm a little torn between a couple choices. So, but we will put it in the show notes. You will have the information you need to watch the movie for next month, I promise. But for this month, Cecilia, this is your show. You want to sign us out? Good job. No.
Take us home! Take us home!
There are social medias.
Yep, Judgmental Horror Junkies has the medias.
Come visit us on Comic Dissection.
Yeah, it's they're both great things.
Oh, so you can plug yourself on our show, but you can't plug our show on your show?
He does all of the time.
I really do. I do.
All of the time.
I listen to all your episodes. You're liars.
I try and get the love. It's in the show notes every time, though. I will say that.
I don't read.
All right. We'll see you all next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.